What is up, gamers, and welcome back to another episode of our F1 2020 Driver Career Mode, episode number 20 today for the Russian Grand Prix. If you missed our previous video at the Singapore Grand Prix, you know what, just go ahead and avoid that. We don't need to talk about that. It's a dismal, terrible race. Everything going wrong, no pace, no overtaking ability, nothing. But here we are, we're going to try and look ahead. That was in the past, and look ahead to the Russian Grand Prix. And as I'm showing here, we're going to have to start realizing that we're going to have to start investing in some more engine components because our turbocharger, we're on our last turbocharger, which means we'll be out. And possibly more penalties to come. But as you can see, we invest in a drag reduction upgrade. And unfortunately, our bad luck extends into the Russian Grand Prix with our minor ERS upgrade failing, which means we'll have to wait a little longer till at least Japan. But as we look ahead, at least there's no rain this time, impeding our qualifying or anything else. But as we look into practice one, finished P6, not too bad, but look at Stroll and Verstappen. I've never seen this in a game where two AI have exactly the same time. I'm guessing Verstappen got it first? I mean, I don't exactly know how that works, but Stroll looks like he has an unimaginable pace right now. Gio, P16. Not so unimaginable. But as we can see in practice 2, Verstappen's run of form remains, and Raikkonen's way down. Not way down, but again, there's that pace difference. Bottas all the way down as well, but not too bad from him. We're in P16, but that's only because of long run pace, like I mentioned before, and Hamilton's down with me, which is strange, to say the least. Practice 3, we top the session because obviously this is when we do our quali runs, and we tend to be around here, but Verstappen has been succeeded by Bottas, and Valtteri Bottas has had unimaginable success around Russia. So will he be able to do the same here? I mean, Verstappen has been topped the other two sessions, which means he'll have a lot of pace as well. Raikkonen is way down the order, along with Leclerc, but they were on the hards. So we've got a lot to look forward to. Let's head into qualifying. And here we are into qualifying, and once again I forgot to show my setup. Don't worry, like always I'll leave a link to the video in which I found the setup in the description down below. But here we are heading on to our first lap, and it was a pretty good lap, I have to say, despite going a little wide from our exit. But entering the final turn of turn 18, we crossed the line. The start-finish line is very close, and we up at the P3, but we go down a few positions. But we're still in the top 5, and when you're in the top 5 in Q1, you don't really need to sacrifice any of your engine components or your tires going out on another run, which, I mean, as you saw, our turbocharger is very worn, so we need to really start conserving these engine parts. But we actually go down another place and finish in P6. Bottas tops the session, typical to see around here. Albon puts in a great time, matching his teammate Carlos Sainz, a feat that we don't normally see. And once again, Giovinazzi gets outpaced just by one spot to Q2 by Esteban Ocon this time, so at least it's not Daniel Kvyat, who, once again, the AlphaTauri is not showing as much pace as it did around Singapore, so hopefully we won't be stuck in that situation. But Lance Stroll's down in P17, so that pace he showed in practice 1 was a bit of a fluke, I guess. But anyway, here we are, onto our first lap of Q2. It was our best lap, so we'll show the full lap, heading down the long straight, and do the kink of turn 1. This is a full DRS straight. This will lead up to our best overtaking opportunity into turn 2. One of the really only heavy braking zones around this track. Heading through the little kink, which doesn't really qualify the turn, but here's a long left-hander of turn 3 around the Sochi Autodrome. Want to get as close to the curb as possible, but not right up too much as I have. Into turn 4, hitting the apex very well. I will say, the car feels way better than it did around Singapore. Planted, I can get it into the apexes through turn 7. This 5, sorry. This is turn 6. Through the kink of turn 6 into turn 7. Going quickly into turn 8. A lot of quick turns here, keeping it close to the apex, but be sure to get it onto the power quickly, as these sections, this is where you could possibly lose time, because I'm not sure. Into the DRS, down the kink of turn 11, heading towards a very complex technical part of turn 12. Sharp braking zone, but it's a bit of a blind corner, so not really a great spot for overtaking, as it is a little dangerous. Into turn 14 right now, into the chicane of 15 and 16. Again, with a little bit of undulation going up of the rise, the elevation going up. Not very good spot for overtaking as well. And into turn 17, into these 90-degree corners. Again, not very good spots for overtaking. Across the line, and we finished P1. So a very good lap, possibly my best lap of the weekend, and hopefully being able to put all this behind us. But Verstappen and Hamilton beat Bottas, which is, again, very peculiar to say. Would have expected Bottas to be up. But we'll look at the time difference between us and the Mercs. Almost less than 200ths of a second separate the top three. A ridiculous... Sorry, not the Mercs, Verstappen as well. So Hamilton and Verstappen look as though to be the favorites to take pole. Unfortunately, Albon and Raikkonen don't make it into Q2, despite the success of their teammates. But as we head on to first lap of Q3, it's raining, but it's not wet enough to put on intermediate tires. So I'm starting to get Belgium flashbacks. Hopefully we don't bottle this lap and get put way down the order. Also France as well, because a similar thing happened around France, and we did bottle it. But we had a pretty good lap to finish P3. So very, very good lap from us. But unfortunately, the session's about to end, but dry patches in the sky is reported in the forecast. And I'm trying to wait out as long as possible to see if I can not only go out last to set the best time without any competition behind me, but to also get the driest part of get dry conditions. But we go out too late. Hopefully, but I don't think we went down position. Sorry, I take that back. This is exactly like France, and this is exactly like Belgium. Get caught up by the rain into P10. And nowhere on the forecast did it say there was rain on the way, but Bottas gets pole position. So the Finn, once again, very good around his dominant track, but we've got a lot of work to do, but hopefully it won't be like Singapore. Let's head into the race.
Welcome along then to Sochi and the Russian Grand Prix, one of 8 cities in the world to play host to both the Olympics and a Formula One race. It's a Grand Prix that's proven difficult to crack for anyone beyond the first 2 rows of the grid in recent years, so let's see if that can change today. Situated just 3 miles from the Georgian border, the 3.6 miles Sochi Autodrome has 2 notable overtaking opportunities into turn 1 and then turn 13. 18 corners in total here, 12 to the right and 6 to the left, and it's an average lap speed of around 130 miles per hour. Joining us today to oversee all the thrills and spills, it's Anthony Davidson. And great to see you. How are you feeling about the race today, and how are the circuit conditions from what you've seen?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Vettel, Hamilton, Charles Leclerc and Sainz, Gasly, Kvyat, Perez and Skip, Albon, Raikkonen, Daniel Ricciardo and Grosjean, Ocon, Giovinazzi, Lance Stroll and Kevin Magnussen. Latifi and George Russell ends our grid lineup. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
With this grid position, we should be aiming for a better result than our last race. Come on, you can do it.
Oh wow, thanks Jeff, reopening old wounds. Because this was the position I was at Singapore and it didn't really work out. But here we are, going on to a one stop, so you can see why Russia is not very dominant track in terms of strategy. For a soft set of medium tires, and I do apologize, I've never seen that glitch happen where when Crofty is showing us the starting grid, it just doesn't appear. So we're going to go into the race director and show you the grid, and as far as I'm concerned, I don't think anyone really got any engine penalties. Do correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but it seems as though just from general observations, everyone's in their spot, and that means we still have a lot of work to do. It doesn't excuse that fact, but here we are, the 5 red lights at the Russian Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go. It's a great start off the line as we go through the middle of Perez and Kvyat, but you get brake checked by Gasly and Sainz, who squeeze us out, which makes us vulnerable again to the two cars we split, heading towards turn 2. DR down towards the turner, and Perez collides into us. What was he thinking? Thankfully, I don't think any damage happened to the two of us, which is left, but this has let Kimi Raikkonen pass us, and we're basically, after all those scraps, we're back where we started in P10. But let's look at this replay. back to the start, and it's a great start from us, splitting the two cars down the middle. But as you can see, the gap between Sainz and Gasly gets shut right in front of us, which leaves us vulnerable again to Kvyat. But as we head into turn 1, okay, to be fair, I did move under braking slightly, so that's probably more 60-40% my fault about the collision. But still, I mean, Perez should have known better. Can you tell I'm just trying to say excuses? Anyway, into the kink of turn 6. We're going to see if we can make a move on Kvyat, but Kvyat squeezes us out. But there's a fight going on between Raikkonen and Kvyat. I only clocked it now that Raikkonen has passed Kvyat, and that battle has allowed them to close the gap to us, which means that we could potentially overtake the two of them later on. But here we are into lap 3 now, with nothing really changing, but the DRS is enabled. We go into Rich and ERS, see if we can pass Kvyat, but Kvyat's part of the DRS train too, which means we're going to have to dive down the inside into turn 2, take the apex, and a great move from us to take P9 on the road. Great stuff. This is exactly what we need to do right now, and if we want to put all the bad vibes from the last few races behind us, great move as you can just sliding in naturally in front of Kvyat. Good racing. But here we are. We're going to see if we can make a move on Kimi Raikkonen now. Ahead on the long DRS straight, down turn 11, kink of turn 11, into the kink of turn 12, breaking the turn 13, going a little too deep into the corner, which has allowed Raikkonen to extend the gap. But, you know, us racing drivers, we never give up. And on to lap 5 now. We're way closer to Kimi this time. DRS, ERS, and Rich mix. We're going to see if we can make a move. Raikkonen, it squeezes it off. He's basically becoming a mobile blockade, but we're just going to go onto the throttle again. Break into turn 13. Side by side of Kimi. We give him the space through turn 14. We're on the outside. Kimi has the optimal line, but we basically break way later, and we steal the corner from him into turn 16, and we take the position. Great side-by-side racing. I'm starting to feel a lot more confident after Singapore. As you can see through this replay, we basically break a little bit, but then we go a little earlier on the throttle. We do kind of cut the corner, but the stewards don't call us out on it. And here we are, side by side. This is great racing between the two of us, and we take the spot. So Kimi, in his former car, we passed Kimi in arguably a car that should be further up the field. But here we are, once again, a familiar view behind Gasly. See if we can make a move. Perez is out of the race, and the safety car is called out, and Gasly brake checks us. Why did we feel like he needed to do that? But that being said, very lucky turn as we're right next to the pit lane, and our pit crew is calling us in for an earlier stop under the safety car, so we get a free pit stop. But as we go to Perez, it doesn't seem like anything's wrong per se, but actually, funny enough, similar to Vettel at Singapore, he gets a type of engine failure, but no smoke comes out the back. So maybe it's like a boost pressure or some sort of hydraulic issue or in the car. Who knows? But anyways, we enter the pits. We're going really slow. I don't want to hold up the others behind me. Bruh. And we get a 5-second penalty. And you can see, I literally go 1 mile per hour over the pit limit. God, so now not only do we have to negotiate a safety car restart, we also have to not finish the race with a 5-second gap to the car behind, because we're not going to be stopping again. Remember, if you remember the strategy sheet, we're only going to do a 1-stop. And from the 1-stop, but there's no, the only other way we can get rid of this 5-second time penalty is to pit, but we'll be stuck in our pit box for 5 seconds. And I don't feel the need to do that. Why turn this race into a 2-stop when everyone's going to be doing the 1-stop? There's no point. But we side up behind Gasly once again, but we're down to P15. But considering the pace we are showing on the soft tires around here, unlike Singapore, I don't have the anxiety that we're not going to be able to make up places. But here we are. We're getting ready to start the race again. But I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm acting like this is like a driver's test. Why? I don't need to put a car's length between me and the car. Of all things, it should be right up their gearbox as everyone else in the queue ahead of us is. And we get, typical, we get pulled out, we get left with our socks down at the restart. And Leclerc is all up our backside. So we're not only losing some valuable slipstream, but now we're giving it to the cars behind, faster cars. We enter turns 2 into the long left-hander of turn 3. We're going to see if potentially we can turn turn 4 into an overtaking zone as we stay up behind Gasly. And here we go. We're going to make a dive on the inside. Oh, but we make a huge mistake. We cut the corner, and we get a corner cutting penalty. And we leave the place up, not only for Leclerc, but for Ricciardo. Now Kvyat. And so now we're basically last place. How did this happen? Looking at the replay, as you can see, a little early, and this is, I don't know why I was steering in. My turning lock was going left, and I collided with Gasly's left rear. And as a result, in order to avoid the collision, I have to jerk the wheel quickly right. And no matter how much I try to maybe take the apex of turn 4, there's nothing we could do, and we just, well, very easily we avoid a nasty collision. And now we have 3 more overtakes to make sure our plan works out. But here we are. We're going to see if we can move into the hometown favorite, Kvyat, diving into turn 13. Great move from us to take the position back and embarrassing the hometown hero of Danny Kvyat. But here we are, down the DRS straight, and Ricciardo took some grass, as you can see on the exit, which will definitely have slowed him down. We don't get DRS. We don't need it. ERS and Rich Mix. We're going to see if we can beat the last of the late breakers to the braking zone, braking way far back into the dive bomb, going onto the throttle a little bit earlier. We take the position from Daniel Ricciardo, usurping the king of the late breakers. Now behind Charles Leclerc on the same lap, I believe, diving down the inside of turn 10. No, sorry. Oh my god, that was turn 7. Great move. But as you can see, as I look back, it looks as though there's a collision with Ricciardo, but as you can see, I think I squeezed him out a little too much, a little aggressively, and I don't think he's going to like that.
That's a joke! That's a joke!
Yeah, I think he believes the steward should have called us out on that. But now here we are, right back where we started, and we actually gained the spot, now that I think about it. But now we're all behind Gasly with the DRS, ERS, and Rich Mix. We're going to see if we can do this move, a move that we've done so successfully in the past. But as we brake, Gasly! What was Gasly doing? He moved on the braking, and now our front wing is broken. We need that front wing. I mean, downforce isn't so essential around Russia, but still, look at the replay. Gasly, you can see, he moves right under braking, and there was no need to. We had the overspeed, and that was such a dangerous maneuver. And if you don't believe me, look at this replay. As you can see, Gasly, he's still accelerating, but the minute he starts decelerating, you can see his AI. He's turning the wheel right slightly. I don't know why. Like, is he sizing up a move on Sainz? But Sainz is so far up the road. That was so risky. You see him jerk after he hits it, and you can see from his T-cam, see him turning right. That was a stupid move on his part.
What is this? Like, what the f*** is this guy doing?
I could say the same to you, Gasly. So, for 2 races in a row, Gasly has given us a lot of slack, and now I'm just mad. I'm mad. I have a front wing damage and a time penalty. I don't see how this can get any worse. I'm going to see if we can make a move on Sainz, but oh my god, I didn't see the 2 Williams up ahead.
A new strategy is available on the MFD.
Oh dear lord. It did get worse. Now my front wing is even more damaged, to the point where my pit crew is calling us in, but okay, this is a bit of a dumb move from me. I was thinking, I don't know if I can make my way up the field again from where I was. So, against my better judgment, I decided to stay out for another lap. Not for just another lap, I want to see if I can go to the end on this front wing. Why? Why did I think that? And as you can see, I'm distracted by the MFD. I forget to turn my DRS on, and Sainz and Gasly simply try to pass us easily. But thankfully we take the position back to turn 2. But that, like, I don't know, honestly, looking back, at the time I thought I was being smart. Because my thought process was, Russia, you don't need a lot of downforce. So why have changed my front wing? And again, I was traumatized from Singapore, where they changed our front wing when our front wing was pretty much intact. But I mean, look at this. We're going to overtake Latifi on the DRS straight, and that's without a front wing. So as you can see, at this moment, I'm starting to think my play was a good one. I made a masterclass strategy. I'm not going to lose time, and I thought I could extend the gap. And I'm right behind the leaders, basically. So great stuff from us. As you can see, and everyone's pitting now onto the mediums or the hards, and we're up into the podium positions. So now, and there's no way we're going to catch up to Verstappen. So we can utilize this free air to extend the gap. It was then that I realized that it's not just downforce, but just aerodynamics in general that is affected without a good front wing. Because as you can see, red sectors and Sainz is still within 1 second of us. And everyone else is within 5 seconds, so we're going to lose a lot of places at this rate. And as you can see, I'm taking the apexes, but without the extra downforce, I'm still going wide out, losing time to the cars behind. So this is just stupid. At this point, as you can see now, I'm regretting my decision entirely. Sainz tries to do it, move through turn 2, but we squeeze him out. And that's when I take a minute to pause and look at the race directory. And as you can see, behind Sainz is Leclerc, Ricciardo, Gasly, and the 2 Mercs. There's no way I'm going to keep all of these cars behind me, let alone within outside of a 5-second gap. So I'm starting to think maybe I should pit, get a front wing change, go on the softs, and see what I can do. As you can see, Sainz passes on the DRS straight with ease as we break into turns 13, into turn 14, and I go very, very wide out of turn 14, regardless of how well. I've taken that corner the same as I've taken it throughout the entire race, but with the lack of downforce, there's nothing I can do. And we lose 2 spots in the span of 3 or 4 corners. Get humiliated ultimately. And here we are. Nothing better to do. And on the next lap, Ricciardo passes us easily. In the same place where Sainz did. So at this point, I don't know what I was doing there. I kind of mashed the throttle. Bottas pops out. And at this point, I have nothing to lose. So basically, now I'm going to box this lap. 7 laps left. I'm going to go into a set of used soft tires and see what I can do. Actually, and also the added benefit I didn't think of at the time is that I get to serve my 5-second penalty. So now I don't need to worry about setting a 5-second gap between me and the people behind me. I just need to drive fast. It'll basically be a quali sim for the next 7 laps. There's the end of the pit lane, and actually it was a good idea in retrospect. Our medium tires are going to be pretty shredded by the end of the race because of how hard we were pushing. So now I'm starting to think that perhaps we should have just stayed out, just gone in right away. Bad move by us, but hey, we learn. Here we are after the 5-second gap, which felt like eternity, and now we're out.
Exit now.
So here we are. This is it. This is gung-ho time. We're down to P16, and but ultimately all the other drivers will pass us because it's a very fast straight. And here we are, as you can see, a case in point, I'm in P19 now, heading out of the pit lane, but these are slower cars, and hopefully we can get in some good laps and some good overtakes. So we'll have the grip over all these medium and hard tire runners, and as you can see, I'm only at 6%, so these tires are as good as fresh. So here we are, intense mode activated, as we go on the inside of Romain Grosjean, but that's just not it. We pass Russell, and then we're going to make a move on his teammate, Nicholas Latifi, practically on the same lap, getting to the slipstream, and down to King of Turn 1. Latifi tries to squeeze us out, but with the superior grip and speed, we pass him with ease. So that's 3 overtakes in the span of 1 lap. So this is exceptional stuff from us, and to cap it all off, 3 purple sectors to make the fastest lap of the race. So I'm starting to think we can maybe salvage a point out of all of this. But here we are in the slipstream of Kevin Magnussen, heading into the braking zone of turn 2. Great move with a superior grip. And on the same lap, we're in the slipstream of our teammate Giovinazzi down the 2nd DRS straight to the kink of turn 11, heading through the kink of turn 12, side by side into turn 13. We brake late and with an extra grip. Look at that. We nailed the apex to turn 13 and turn 14 way better than we did on the lap where Leclerc passed us. So we're starting to look good. But now at this point, I'm starting to think, I don't think we're going to do this. With 2 laps left, Stroll is still 5 seconds ahead on the road. So unless one of the 2 drivers ahead of us has a critical issue, there's nothing we can do. But heading on to the final lap of the race, we're right up behind Stroll. So maybe we can take one last position and make this comeback a little better. You know, here we are in the slipstream, but Stroll gives us room on the outside. We're going, he tries to squeeze us out, but the braking, we brake late and we take the position, but ultimately, that's it. That's all we can do. But unbeknownst to me, Max Verstappen wins his first race of the season at a Mercedes stronghold, where Valtteri Bottas has stolen the win pretty much every time we raced here. Great result for him.
Max, that is a fabulous ride, mate.
Yes! Oh, nice race! Oh, well done. I think we managed that really well, guys.
Yeah, I guess he did, and it's hard to believe that Max has only won one race in our 2020 season. But still a great one. But ultimately, P13 for us, not great, and our woes
Race
continue.
over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Another superb Russian Grand Prix comes to an end, and it's a thoroughly deserved victory. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
It was a question of right place, right time today. We were looking at an entirely different race before the safety car came out, but they were able to take full advantage after the field had been bunched up.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everyone at the team.
Yeah, so once again, another pointless finish to add to our record. But unlike our previous finishes where we finished outside the points, we still finished ahead of our teammate. So I guess we gotta salvage our wins when we can. But looking through the standings, Sainz had an exceptional race, and Raikkonen way off the pace this weekend. Way off the pace. And actually, the AlphaTauris didn't show as much pace as they did around Singapore, so it must have just been a track condition. Stroll, now that I think about it, dismal weekend considering the potential he was showing, being on pace with Max Verstappen. Yeah, I mean, undoubted, he wouldn't have won. But in retrospect, if we had one more lap, we could have taken it to Ocon, and he was the rest of the field, like Kvyat was right ahead of him. So points were definitely on the table, but pitting too late was definitely a weakness. And if that win, Verstappen passes us in the driver's standings. But arguably, we shouldn't be in third to begin with. But we got to take our bit of pride here when we can. No changes in the constructors, and unfortunately, Leclerc does pass us in our rivalry. And he's just 1 point away from winning it all. But don't worry, there'll be more rivalries to come. And ultimately, it couldn't have gotten worse than Singapore, but now we gotta look ahead to the Japanese Grand Prix. Thank you so much for joining me today. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Share the video, share the love, and I'll be getting back to you guys soon. I'm Isolation Gamer 05. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.